Hello Acceleration Nation, it is Lara Moto here, and today I am riding the Ducati Panigale V2 2020 model. Ducati Manchester have let me borrow it for a week. It feels like a track weapon straight out of the box, and it's got a deliciously smooth pickup and really shows its performance in the higher end of those revs. If you like a superb, well-handled, almost 600 style motorbike, this might be the one for you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in a bit. This review was facilitated by Superbike News. Oh, an absolute blast. It's an absolute track toy straight out of the box. It's not set up for me or my weight, but handling wise, suspension wise, it's absolutely spot on. It's 155 brake, which seems like a lot, but it delivers it super smooth, about 0 to 8 grand, really quite steady. But then when you grow past 8, all the way up to 11.5, it just comes alive, it gets rapid, it's swift, and you can really enjoy all of its power without it kind of blowing your mind like a big V4 is. It's light, it's handy, it's not like almost like a 600, but with the kind of lower down torque that you need. It's a fascinating ride. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at it. Look at the DRLs. It just gives it that anger, aggression, that classic Panigale face. And it's a looker. I'm sat here like near the Cat and Fiddle, and people are coming to talk to me because that's the draw of the Ducatis. That is the draw of the Panigale range. It's just gorgeous. And as you can tell, I already love this V2. I hope to compare it quite a lot to my Super Sport. So I finally leave the Peak District and take it home for a proper review. This delicious Ducati is the Panigale entry level model. So as the V2, it's the lowest powered one, but 155 brake is more than enough. It comes in either red or white. I'm very biased. I adore my white Super Sport, and I think this bike has more impact in white, but actually, like a Ferrari, if you're going to have a Ducati, it's going to have to be a red one. The decals that Ducati Manchester have come up with make it pop and stand out a little bit more. But what I quite like, whilst we're on this camera angle, is the second skin fairing that Ducati have come up with. Now on the white one, this is red, and it draws the eye from the recesses around the headlights where they've highlighted them red, and then brings it out to the side skirts of the bike. What do you think? The sunken headlights are much less monobrow than my Super Sport, but I still like the striking looks and pointed nose of the white SS. It's just emphasising that fantastic Ducati styling where your eyes are drawn from the front of the bike as it flows through to the side skirts and the side of the bike and then out to the back. It's just delicious. The V2 will do 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds if you get your gear changes right. The 2020 model is a successor to the Panigale 959, and it's still the 90-degree V-twin configuration, or L-twin if you're going to be particularly specific. It's got the Super Quadro engine in it, so kind of the over-square cylinder bore, and it packs quite a punch. So 155 brake horsepower at about 11 grand revs, and that's 77 foot-pounds of torque at about 9k. And it's certainly got a bit of poke. Now, when I'm riding it, when I first pulled away from Ducati Manchester, I immediately felt like it was just smooth. You know, for a twin, you feel a little bit of a lump. It's wonderfully tuned for just some relatively low revs, cruising. It doesn't. It's not a hassle. You know, for 150 brake, where, say for example, I was riding the MT10, and that does feel like the throttle response is pretty aggressive. It wants to go places. This is actually quite a friendly package. So I was like, all right, okay, this is steady, and then when you start opening it up, you get a bit of freedom on the roads, and you're on your way to pulling onto a motorway, for example, or you're enjoying a bit of the Peak District. You get to that top third, half 8 grand in, and she just pulls, and it comes with this roar, and then it just moves into this higher pitched whine, and you're like, yes, I'm on it, and we're going to go places. It feels like, handling wise, in terms of power wise, it just feels like quite a light, poised, nimble, feisty 600 without the need to rag the proverbial off it. It still has enough grunt and torque to make things happen at lower revs without being screamed the entire time. But if I could take to the track, it might be my perfect track weapon, because the V4s, you circa like 200 brake up. They are powerful machines, much bigger engine, much bigger profile, a lot more to sit your legs around. Whereas this, it's slim, it's comfortable on the track at least, and it feels nimble. The suspension feels poised. It feels like you could just have a really good time on it, and I really want to. Just need to get them to let me take it to the track. Look at this fabulous full colour 4.3 inches of TFT screen. It's really, really good, really easy to use and easy to flick through the modes from sport to street to race. So much better than the Super Sport. But, you know, it doesn't have a fuel gauge, which would be helpful, but it is a track-orientated bike. What you do get is ABS, even in the corners, Ducati traction control, Ducati wheelie control, engine braking system, all controlled through this 6-axis inertial platform, which uses roll, pitch and yaw as sensory feedback, which gives you active safety and dynamic control, which is basically great when you're throwing it around the track or into some corners. Let's cut to some onboard footage talking about the switchgear. So, switchgear's really easy, accessible, main beam, and my flashing high beam toggle switch works really well. Indicators left to right, exactly where you want them. Horn's pretty cute. And then on the right hand side I've got AC ignition cutout and obviously ignition. I've got my DRL button here, and then I've got my hazard lights. It's all spot on. Switchgear works, it's nice and simple, exactly what you need. Easy access to all the electronics. What I found quite interesting in terms of bike comparison, so this is 155 brake, my Ducati Super Sport with the Acro pipes on, like the full system, take mine to about, I don't know, 115 brake horsepower. But in terms of torque, my Super Sport delivers, albeit less, like 71 foot-pounds or about 6.5 grand, whereas this one is 77 foot-pounds at 9 grand. It does feel like, in a weird way, my Super Sport has a bit more punch. It feels like stuff happens at lower revs. My Super Sport is a heavier bike, about 8 kilograms heavier, has a slightly longer wheelbase, which is just better for, I guess, long-term touring and a bit of stability compared to the handling that you'd want with one of these. And then the seat height on my Super Sport is a little bit lower because I'm going to sit a bit more recessed behind the tank at 810 mils, whereas this has got an 840 millimeter seat height. But you've just got to sit on it and test and adjust, really. You've got a fair bit of flexibility with adjusting the seat padding. You can get race seat padding, and you can probably adjust the rear sets if you needed more ground clearance. But sitting on this bike initially, compared to sitting on the Super Sport, which is a bit more comfortable, I felt immediately so happy. I've been wrapping my legs around an S-Rad for a little bit, which is a proper race engineered track bike. This felt immediately comfortable for a track ready / good Sunday afternoon blap. So the seat has a lot of squidge to it. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, plenty of squidge. And it also has plenty of stretch. So if you want to tuck behind the windscreen, you can actually move your arse all the way back and get a nice flat profile, which I think is what Ducati designed in this model. But what I did find though is that more than most, my kind of groin got pushed into the tank, the bottom of the tank, quite a lot. I kind of had to keep adjusting back, and that was in leathers and in textiles. So it might have been my riding position, and I'm just getting used to it. But it was just unusual for a bike of this particular, I guess, ergonomic design. Ducati have done quite a good job of limiting the profile of this particularly well insulated exhaust system. But you can't really escape from the fact that there's a lot of weight and a lot of lump chucked underneath the engine geometry. My Super Sport sounds a lot better, but I I am a firm believer that if this had the full titanium pipe system, it would sound incredible. So what I'm going to do now is fire up this bad boy to give you an idea of what it sounds like, and I might do a little clip of the Super Sport so you get the difference. But hey, the minute you're going to take this out the showroom and you've messed around with it a bit, you're going to swap the pipes, aren't you? But see what you think of this. La la la. Just going to check it's a neutral. Now this is what I think a Ducati Twin should sound like. So before all my neighbours come round and give me a telling off, that was a good solid rev. Again, I think almost up to 11, 12 grand. I know this one's quite stifled, but still exciting when you start it up, and it still is going to make you smile. What is quite clever about the design of the Super Quadro is the fact that it's essentially a stressed member. So they use it as structural support within the frame. So where you'd have to add metal and material in order to make the bike rigid and hold itself together, the actual engine contributes to that strength and rigidity. So that means you can make the frame lighter. So that helps you with a slender, streamlined approach. It's a lighter bike. It's easier on the handling because you're not carrying excess, I guess, aluminium around. It does get pretty hot when you sat on it. So, I thought my Super Sport was bad. This is a little bit worse actually. When you sat in traffic, you really can feel it. And yes, it's going to sit 90, 97, sub 100, and that's probably where it performs at its best, at that temperature. But you do kind of know about it, and I guess it's just the price you pay for having this engine configuration. So the V2 has a die-cast aluminium frame, and when combined with this engine configuration, it has a weight distribution of 52% weight on the front and 48% at the rear. Now, to be fair, when you're riding it and you're on the throttle, most of the weight, or 60% of that weight, is going to be pushed to the rear anyway. But in terms of handling and poise, it serves it really, really well. I just have to think about the corner. I'm not aggressively thrown into it. My steering inputs are dealt with accurately and predictably, and I'm ready to just, I guess, hit a decent corner on the track or the road. I am delighted by the handling, literally fresh out the box. Now what we can talk about here is the actual shock system itself. So at the front it has the fully adjustable Showa front shocks, and then it also has the fully adjustable Sachs rear shock. It also has a Sachs steering damper at the front. Great feedback and response and feel from the road, and because it's fully adjustable, you might want to slack off the settings if you're going to spend a bit of time on the road, or ramp up the settings when you want to really thrash her around on track. And it is pretty cool having this rear side shock at the back. Like any track orientated bike, you're going to want some good stopping power. So it's got the Brembo 4-pot calipers at the front, single pot caliper at the rear. Whilst we're here, these shocks are great, but they'd look so much better in anodized gold. I kind of miss the appeal of the Öhlins. What I was worried about when I took this out of the showroom at Ducati Manchester was the immediate desire to hand in my Super Sport, give him the keys and roll away on one of these. But the reality is I'd buy one, I'd truck it, get some cheaper fairings on it and start throwing it around, because that is fundamentally where this bike belongs. Maybe even show up a few other bikes with a bit more horsepower. But in terms of what you can use and manage and enjoy and explore, it does have what you need. But it's not impossible on the road. You're not really going to tour on it unless you're used to a few aches and pains. But it's for a Sunday blap or just a massive grin on your face when you're heading to work. If I could own one, I would, but I'd keep it for my track day toy. If I did hypothetically own this bike, There are a few things that I would change, including carbon fibre in the following locations. Carbon fibre. Tinted. Shiny levers. Sticky tank grips. Carbon fibre. Change these. Carbon fibre cover. Probably get rid of these. Carbon fibre. Change this. That'll do. Did get the V2 for a week. Here are a couple of early niggles. Trying to find the side stand is surprisingly tricky. I couldn't find it at all with my race boots on, and I had to like lean over and pop it down myself. And cleaning it, because of excellent Ducati styling, it does have niggly bits, so be prepared to get in there with like a dental brush to really get all the dirt out. It seems to have quite an exposed wiring loom, particularly I guess where the quick shift is, and running over the engine casing. Obviously inevitable electronics wiring, but I've never seen them so exposed like this, and I think they're quite vulnerable. So, and then also when you're cleaning it, there's a lot of water that gathers. You kind of want a compressor just to blow it out and make sure it's completely dry. Before I conclude, thank you massively to Superbike News for orchestrating the review, and of course Ducati Manchester. If you get the chance, why not go around their store? They've got a great showroom, beautiful, beautiful Italian merchandise on show, and no massive sales pitch. If you like the bikes, go in, try them out, see where you get to. If you do buy a bike from Ducati Manchester, you do actually become part of a well-organised social club. So not only do they do Wednesday night ride outs, they do Christmas events in the centre of Manchester, and they also do planned trips to Italy where you can, I think they managed to get a lap round Imola circuit, be part of the Ducati grandstand at Mugello, and enjoy just a great gathering of having a load of Ducatis on track. So I think if you buy a bike from Ducati Manchester, you're joining quite a local Ducati community, which I think is quite special. You do pop round for a visit, chuck your head round the door of the mechanic's workshop, well kitted out, and also ask them if you could ride some of their electrically powered products. I had a great laugh on one of their mopeds, and they've also got a couple of electric scooters that are worth a whiz round. You get to enjoy using these bits of cheaper equipment through possibly hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of Ducati merchandise. Well worth it. Whilst you're here, check out Maya's motorcycle adventures. You won't regret it. Time to conclude the video. It is an absolute delight to ride. It is a sports bike, so it's not going to be the most comfortable in the world, but I've just been hooning around along this cracking little B road, and I just feel comfortable, because when you ride it, own it, get your body in the right position for corners, it's just bliss, and it rewards you with great pops, great exits out the corner, superb handling, and wet or dry. I've ridden in the wet, and it gives me such a level of confidence and grip. I've never had that on a bike before. It is fantastic, and so I've just enjoyed messing around with it. I would adore taking this to the track. Ducati, please let me do a test ride around Cadwell or Donny. That would be amazing. So yeah, firstly, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. If you haven't already, why not join my Acceleration Nation? Link is in the top right. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy my videos. Please like or comment, leave a review, share it on, whatever you think. I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for watching.